With one glance, she's head over heels in love with him, but she has no idea what he's about or where does he come from. But she's convinced and determined that he is the one, and she will stop at nothing just to get him. That's what we call skunk love. That's what we're going to be discussing on today's show. Have you had skunk love, or even worse, has someone else been the skunk bothering you? Stay tuned, ladies and gents who are watching. You don't want to miss this one. It's DKW. Hello, happy Sunday everyone. That's right, you know what time it is. It's DKW, 4 p.m. on a Sunday with our lovely ladies in the studio. I've got Sam, Jim and Maria. Hi ladies.
I'm here again.
Ladies, I'm going to delve into this one because it was a bit of an interesting one. Skunk love. I mean, it sounds already like...
Smelling something very
like,
strong.
Skunk love, what are your dibs on today's show? How do you feel it's gonna go?
I'm very excited about this show because skunk love, I think most women have experienced some kind of skunk love or relationship. So, I mean, especially all of us here. So, and I've definitely been there, skunk love, you know? It didn't smell too good, so, you know?
I know a lot of people at home are probably thinking, actually, what is skunk love? And I know you did it in the intro. But basically, it's a love that stinks. And you know when you're in that relationship and you're just not compatible for some reason or the other.
That's right.
You know, and that's exactly what it is. We call it skunk love because, yeah, it does smell not too good. But do you know what? I think we've got a video about it. So maybe we should see the video and we can talk about it a little bit more. Let's
definitely.
Old man! Ah, my great bundle of sweetness. It is love, love, love at sight first. No? Is it not? No, yes? Oh, the mad rush of hot blood to the temples. Ah, golden girl, you are the corned beef to me. I am the cabbage to you.
Do you know, I used to watch that when I was younger and I thought it was really, really funny. But if you actually look at it, you can see that Pepe Le Pew, I'm sorry, I'm not French, so I'm sorry if I said it wrong, but Pepe, we'll call him. He's a skunk, right? And he's in love with this cat, Penelope, running after her and so on. And the thing is, she thinks he stinks. She's not interested. And they're just not compatible. It's never going to work because he's a skunk, she's a cat. Yeah. She needs to find a cat like herself, but he just pursues her and pursues her and pursues her. And it makes you think, like, how many people end up in that situation?
It's true, and you know, seeing as you brought it home to that, and you know I'm going to throw it back at you, have you ever been a victim of skunk love, or have you actually been the skunk?
It's
true.
It's true.
Let's get some reality show here.
All right, Sam's next, yeah. Do I think I've ever been a skunk? I don't think so.
Okay.
Hopefully not. Have I had skunk love before? Yes. No, actually, I take that back. Actually, I have been a skunk.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know why? Because I feel that if you're in a relationship that is not working, for some reason, then both of you are the skunk for each other.
Exactly.
Oh, she really got out of that.
Yeah. Glad you said that.
No, she really got out of that one.
I do, because I don't want to say, oh, I was the cat and he was the skunk.
Because it works both ways.
It works
that
both ways.
Mismatch.
Exactly. So I wasn't compatible for him, but it doesn't mean that he should never be in a relationship again. It just means we're not compatible for each other. So we were the skunk for each other, Jen.
All right, then you got this. Sam, she did throw it back at you.
I got away with that one, really
did. And I'm going to throw it back your way.
Well there.
Skunk love. Have you ever been a victim of it?
I have been a victim of it. Of course, I It was my first love, actually.
Okay.
So normally with Skunk Love, you should be able to smell it afar off. Because if you think of a skunk, as soon as they come in the room, you can smell them, you know, and they stink.
I've never encountered a skunk, funnily enough.
I'm sure if you go to the zoo and you smell a skunk, trust me, the whole area smells. So in my experience, the Skunk Love came into my life. I should have been able to smell it, and I could smell it, but sometimes, you know, when you're naive, when you're blind, sometimes you ignore the smells.
So what made it so stinky? What were the signs that you overlooked?
The signs were usually, for me, the signs were, you know, he did not have core values, such as myself. I'm a very family-orientated woman.
Right.
I came from a very strong netted family. Also, we came from different lifestyles. Right. We had different visions. So these are all things that can make you and another person incompatible. You know, you're not suited for each other. But yet sometimes you want to make it work because that emotional love is flowing in the air and you're dreaming along with it. Well, then, it doesn't always work.
So then what silly things did you do?
Silly things what I did. I gave up, well, I don't know about if it was silly, it was quite bizarre because I actually practically gave up my whole life for this person.
Really?
And that's very deep, Jen. When you can think that you can fall in love with someone who you're not compatible with, you know, and you lose all vision of your own vision, something is deeply wrong there. I think with any relationship, you're in love, you should be able to still see your own vision for your own life. And both of your visions with each other, they should be more or less similar goals for it to work or for it to be, you know, successful. And I think if it's leading down that road, and normally these can be spotted at really early stages in a relationship. But it doesn't have to be after a long time.
But some people just don't get it. And
unfortunately.
And that's why I want to throw it back out there. Ladies and gents who are watching, perhaps you want to give your opinions on Skunk Love. Have you ever been in love with someone and you knew it just wasn't going to work? Or was it the other way around? Someone was in love with you and you knew it wasn't going to work? Give us a call on 0207 686 6300 and let us know what you think. Maria, Skunk Love. Have you been the skunk or have you been in Skunk Love?
You know what? I was just listening to what you were saying and I was just thinking, Skunk Love, it's like, you know how a lot of people, they hate the smell of fish, but yet they will still eat the fish, right? Okay. I would say I have met a couple of skunks in my life.
Wow.
Yes.
Want to share any experiences?
Well, yeah, because one of them, you know, I kind of like not really knew, but I kind of like saw the signs with the drinking. And of course, that alone should have been really enough. But obviously it wasn't enough for me.
But why did you stay then?
Why did I stay? Do you know what? To this day, I have no idea. Even though I stayed, you know, like over 10 years in the relationship.
10 years?
And yes. And yeah, I suffered for falling for a skunk. I suffered severely.
But love can really blind you, though.
But then again, exactly, it does. It can really, really blind you. It can have such an effect on you because, you know, everyone will tell you. Your parents will tell you, no, this is the wrong person. Don't go for that one. You're gonna feel it. People will tell you, but because you're like, you know the horse with the blinkers, you know, where you don't want to look anywhere else.
Yeah.
You're in love, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's what happened to me a couple of times.
Wow. Well, I think, Jen,
Yes.
I know that you're the main, and I feel like I'm always the one that
You
does
always
this.
do this. Yeah. He always tries to
We're
do
going to
this
have
to
a
me.
power struggle, by the way, these two today.
I know, Jen, I think this is the last time I butt in, but to be honest, you can't get away with it. Have you ever had Skunk Love?
I have. I've actually been on both sides.
Have you?
That's why I said, was you the skunk or have you been in Skunk Love? But we're going to go to a break.
What a cop-out. Okay, so when we come back, you're going to have to definitely tell us about your skunk love.
Do you know what? I'll just tell you quickly then before the break. I mean, when I was younger, I was in Skunk Love. No, actually, I was a skunk because I was quite naive. You know, when there's this one guy who's really, really popular and you know you're both incompatible and plus he'll probably never go for you. Well, in my case, it was.
Why did you think he wouldn't go for you, though?
Because I just wasn't, I wouldn't say I wasn't in his caliber because I have that much self-esteem. It's just back then, I was in my awkward phase where I was trying to discover myself and everything, and I just thought that he would help me find myself. But we were both completely different. Not that opposites don't attract, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, for example, I would like to go to the museum and he just wants to sit down watching football, basketball all day. We'll go berserk, it just wouldn't work. I want to read a book. You want to sit down in front of a PlayStation. I'll go mad after a while.
Mm-hmm. But what made you the skunk, though?
I was chasing after him because it's like, you know, when there's that one guy that everybody wants to go for, so I thought, let me fight for it and go for it too. Because it's kind of like an ego thing, because if you get him, it's like, yeah, I got him, it was me. So
you got the prize.
Yeah.
You got the prize.
I got the prize,
Yes.
and that's what made me, if I could say, a skunk. But then I've been on the flip side of it, and it's horrible, horrible, horrible. You know deep down inside it's not going to work and you're trying to run away from this person, but they're insisting like, no, we'll make it work, please, it'll work, let's stay together. And it's like, after a while, you just need to cut the cord and let go.
So true.
Because you'll never be happy.
I don't think anyone should need to be in a relationship. Like, I think when you get to that obsessive point, then there's a danger. Like, you know, if someone feels that they need, because I've been in a relationship where he was almost threatening to kill himself if I left.
What?
Yeah, I've been there.
And I just thought,
my gosh.
I just thought,
it's
like,
horrible. It's
it is horrible. At the
thing.
time, I felt like really sorry, and I felt I have to stay
Wait,
here.
first of all, what did you do? Because the person's just gone out.
I was just
gone
like,
out
what, for him to want to be with me? I was just myself generally. No, what did I do? I stayed with him. I stayed because, you know, obviously you don't want him to commit suicide, and you know, but that person has a hold over you, and you're staying not because of love or because you want to be in the relationship. You're staying because you don't want something to happen. Yeah, and you are trapped, and actually they've got a hold over you, and no relationship can function like that. It's almost obsessive, you know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you've been a victim of skunk love or if you've been the skunk, give us a call on 0207 686 6300 and give us your opinion or experience. We're going to be going to a short break and we'll be back. Hi, welcome to DKW. We're talking about skunk love on today's show. That's right, being in love with someone when you're totally incompatible and you know it's just not gonna work. And on today's show, I've got Sam, Gemma, and Maria with me in case you didn't tune in earlier. But ladies, skunk love. I've got a brilliant example for you that's been highlighted in the news of late. Simon.
Simon who?
Cowell.
Who else?
The only true Simon Brett to cause so much headache in the headlines. I mean, look at this. I've got this news piece that I've got. The source was from the Daily Mail. Despite reports that Cowell, 53, was blindsided by the news of the pregnancy, you know, he got, what's her name, Lauren? Forgotten the surname.
Jen, I wish I could help you, but I have no clue.
Yeah, I know she's a socialite. She's an American socialite. There's Lauren, yeah, got a picture. And she's actually now going through a divorce with her casino-owning husband.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah,
So
Andrew.
the thing is that...
So what, he got her pregnant?
Yeah.
I thought he was with that other lady.
Exactly. This is what I was just about to break down. So what it is, you know, Simon's always been, a ladies' man. He's always got a different lady on his arm all the time. Well, what it is that he was flirting with Lauren. I believe he and Lauren's hubby are friends. Yeah. And the hubby always suspected that there was something there, like, oh, my wife is kind of interested in, but he just never took it seriously. So now they're filing for divorce. And he's got her pregnant. So he told friends that she was overwhelmed by Cowell's gorgeous 25,000 diamond.
He was overwhelmed with the ring, wasn't he?
Yeah, the £25,000 diamond eternity bracelet gift that he gave her. And this week, Cowell is due to fly south of France on holiday with a harem of ex-girlfriends.
Oh, come on.
including
This is
former
disgusting.
pop star Sunita, Jackie St.
Yeah, I
Clair.
don't get Sunita.
and-
I really don't get it. Like, she's always there, like a bad smell. Do you know what I mean?
And-
I just
and-
think, gosh, can you move on?
But this is the thing. You guys haven't even let me finish. You know what? I'm gonna stop right there because this is more than enough. But this is the thing. Lauren, we can't overlook Lauren. Lauren's gotten herself pregnant with Simon. And the thing is, she was in a very strong, well, from what it seems like,
yeah,
marriage.
Not that strong.
For-
Can we just see this picture again, like Simon Cowell and this Lauren? Because I just don't get it. I don't get what it is. Look at this guy.
It's the money. It's the money.
It's hardly like the heartthrob of
It's the charm.
But the
I don't see the charm.
could be
I don't see the charm. I don't
No.
see the looks. I don't see anything. He's always got the same T-shirt on in a different colour. You know, I just don't see anything.
About
I don't see
But the
anything.
thing is,
they want to
Jess,
be in the
limelight.
limelight.
But the thing is,
Right.
if she's a
Yes.
socialite, she's already got her own money.
Yeah,
So
and-
that's why I don't get it.
But this is the thing. I think it's the charm of it all. And once you're in that charm, that buzz and that thrill, that's where the skunk love starts to set in, and it blinds you from making you understand, look, I'm already married. It seemed before that they did have a very good relationship, her and her husband, until Simon came along anyway. You know, you've been together for so many years. Simon's got money, so I don't think it's a money thing. And her hubby's got a
yeah,
lot
because he's a casino
of
owner, so
money.
he's obviously really well-to-do.
She's obviously been in the limelight. She knows what it is to have a lot of money. So I don't think it's just about money. I think it's the charm that's kind of blinded her.
It could be charm, it could be sexual, you know. They may excite each other. There's more to it. And that tells the tale.
Do you know what I think could be? It could be the chase, maybe. Maybe it's
Some
just
people,
the
it's just
chase.
the thrill of it.
Yeah, the
Some
thrill.
of it.
Like, it's
That's
something
what
that
it
you
is.
can't have. Like, you know, Pepe running after, what's it, Penelope?
Penelope.
But the sad thing is, now you've got a child, in my personal opinion,
It's
now
a
you've got a
child.
child coming into the
Child.
world in the midst of all of this. And
Yes.
growing up, if I was that child and I grew up and I found all of these stories about my parents, I would be embarrassed.
Yes.
That's just me personally. That's number one. And number two, I think later on down the line, especially after this weekend, when he goes off with that harem of women, she's going to feel quite
Stupid?
silly.
I think she feels stupid
Because
already.
you know-
there's going to be no core values for this child growing up.
Not even that, for herself, because she's now destroyed her marriage over a skunk love. And speaking of marriages, I've got a little game for you while we talk about
game on DKW. I
with
know.
some of our celebs. So what it is we're going to pair up some celeb couples. And have you got your cards ready?
We have got our
Get
cards.
mine.
Yeah, I've
There
got it here.
is. Basically, you're going to tell us whether she got it wrong or if she got it right. So she got it wrong. It's definitely skunk love. They shouldn't be together. Completely incompatible, and it's not going to work. She got it right. It's a match made in heaven almost, and it's not skunk love.
Fab.
It seems to be good love. Okay? So let's see our first couple I've got here. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher. Right, this is a bit of controversy here, because usually people say the age gap doesn't matter.
She looks really
But
weird.
older.
She looks really weird in that picture, doesn't she?
This is the thing.
Old enough.
Age gaps. Do you think there's certain rules that people should stick to when it comes to age gaps? Do you think that what she did was right? Because I think in her case, I can't remember how much older she was, but I do know that her kids from her previous
Wasn't it like
relationships
20
were
years?
around the same age
as him,
as Ashton. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Did she get it wrong or did she get it right?
She definitely got it wrong. and
Skunk love all the way?
She's got it
Hence,
wrong.
why?
hence why she's now divorced. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She definitely got it wrong. The fact is, when you're dating someone that's the same age as your children, that tells you that maybe he's just a little bit too young. Because you're going to be a mother to that person. You know, Ashton, like, he's got a great career. You know, he's just starting out. She is kind of like slowing down. So she's beautiful, Demi Moore. And if she married someone her age or even a little bit younger, I think, you know, no one would have said anything. But she was just going around like wearing mini skirts, trying to go to like the latest
Trying to
clubs.
keep young.
Trying to keep young.
Yeah,
keep
you know,
young.
but that is the problem though, because if a 40-year-old is going to marry a 20-year-old, they're going to have to keep up with that
That's it.
20-year-old. They're going to have to
keeping
start.
up with the pace. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
What if, I'm just going to
Yes,
throw
come
an
on.
argument out there. What if you got someone who says, well, you know, I'm a couple of years younger than my partner. We seem to get along fine. I don't see a problem with it.
But we're not talking about a couple of years, Jen.
So you think that's an exception?
Wrong with a couple
Even
of
if it's 5 years, it's okay.
Do you know, and I'm not. We're not here to dig. We're not here to stab in that. You know, there's rules that you cannot date someone or marry someone younger. My mother was a lot older than my father.
Really?
How many years?
How many years?
It was something like. It was around 8 years, something like that. So it was quite a big gap.
Like, no.
Wow.
There was quite a big gap, but they had a successful marriage until my mum died. So I grew up with my both parents in a good relationship. So it's not to say it doesn't work, but there's a big risk.
It's a big risk. And then my thing is as well is that because it's a risk, it's an exception, and it's very dangerous to base something so precious as your love life on an exception. That's how I've always seen it, even though, you know, it can work and it does work. But then if I was to flip it on the other side, do you think it's more of a problem when the guy is way older than the lady? Like, take, for example, another couple, Celine Dion and her manager.
Renee.
Renee. I'm sure he was several years older than her.
I think he was
more
like
than a
20 odd
decade.
years,
Yeah,
20
2
odd years
decades
older.
You know.
And he looks it. But the thing is, I feel that it's slightly, it depends on where your mind is at. And she was very young and so on. And to be honest, I do feel that it is quite old, but it's different because women are usually a lot more mature.
Yeah, it depends on their
than
mindset.
men.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Their
mean?
life
So I think you can
experience.
sort of meet halfway, but whereas when the guy is younger, like a lot younger, say 20 years younger, you're going to find that he's going to, you know, be that typical guy, possibly, like, you know, wanting to go out with his friends, wanting to have a good life. And, you know, maybe you want, like, say, kids and settling down, or like Demi Moore, for instance, she'd had her kids already. Maybe Ashton wanted it. So you're going to find that you want different things out of life, and that's when it doesn't work. But I would have never said that Celine Dion and Renee would have worked out.
This is the thing.
I never, because also, when you're like, say 20-something, when she got married, she was 20-odd, and he's like 40 going on 50, it's like, gosh, are we going to be celebrating your big 50? Like, you know, there's more to life than this, but they've managed to make it work.
I mean,
It's not for me. It's not for me.
I'm saying
Personally, I couldn't do it.
But what about to say
I couldn't do
there's
it.
a rule it can't be done and
Yeah.
it isn't
Yeah.
impossible?
What about
What you want out
what
of
about
life,
the
culture,
Actually,
you know.
before I go to that, I want to throw it back out there again, just in case, because we're getting really quite intense here in the studio. Give us a call on 0207 686 6300 to let us know what you think as well on
I
Skunk
think it
Love.
depends as well, Jen, on what sort of life you want to live.
But what about the cougar generation that we've got now? Of like,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
there is a big
it's a
popular
big
cougar
thing.
generation
It's like,
out there.
and because I think because you've got the whole thing with independent women and stuff like that. So if a man can date a 20-year-old woman and he's 50, if I'm a 50-year-old lady, I should be able to date a 20-year-old guy. What's the problem?
But then there's a lot of
And I'm not saying that it's
consequences.
acceptable. I'm in my personal opinion, I just think it's weird. It's like dating your son. So I just don't get it. but there's some women that they're like, yeah, what's the problem?
There's kind of two sides of the coin here. You're going to have young men who probably want just the experience of a cougar woman, you know, an older woman, you know, so for them it's just that challenge that they want to try to conquer that, which is a lot different from if you're thinking about really deeply settling down, taking this woman on to be your own and to be giving that full commitment. So there's two sides of it, and I think the risk lies in is if that person is going to be willing to sacrifice, give up their livelihood for this older person, and that's the thing.
Speaking on livelihood, it brings me on to my next point, which is core values. Because we've got this couple now, the famous, well, in the 90s, Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. Now, the thing is with them was they seemed to be heading in the same direction.
They look so
initially.
good together, don't they?
They do.
Oh gosh, as soon as you put it that way, let's do the game first before I give it all away. So do you think Jennifer and Brad, at the time, did she get it right or did she get it wrong?
Well, at the time, I thought, God,
Nah,
definitely
she
got it
girl.
right.
I thought she
Disagree.
got it right.
Why do you say that, both of you?
They just look amazing together. And
So
that's
you
what
guys,
counts.
you are giving everyone out there an
They
example
did,
of
they
love.
did. They
were
seem to have it
amazing.
right.
But
they
became
seem
skunk.
Yeah, they became
Yeah,
but
but no, but that came out of left field. I did not see that coming. I didn't see that he would cheat on her with Angelina Jolie and break her heart.
Well,
I did not see
technically
that coming.
speaking, that is
there was
alleged.
incapacity there.
What alleged? No, Jen, they've set up shop together. They've got like 6 kids now.
Yeah,
really.
but they weren't married.
No.
Who weren't
They
married?
weren't married, and
No,
I think
they
they were
were never
breaking.
married.
They were breaking
Who
up at
was
the
not
time.
married?
What was Brad and Jennifer married?
Yeah.
Really?
Of course they were. That
No.
was his wife.
I really do not
Yes.
remember that because it was so long ago.
That's why we're saying, I don't know about you, Gemma, that's why I'm saying she got it right.
So then I definitely agree. It was definitely Skunk Love because my thing is, I'll tell you why.
don't get
How
it.
could you marry someone and not realize that that person wants to have kids? And you don't want to have kids.
Yeah,
It's just
wasn't
wasn't going to work because that's a
compatible.
massive
They weren't
core value
compatible.
there.
That is a massive core
It's like
value.
it's like, for example, me. Let's say one day I've always had that dream. I want to sail around the world. Let's just say I had that dream, and then the person's like, I want to always set up shop in concrete city somewhere in the middle of the heart of the city, and I just never ever ever want to leave. We could get married, but one day I'm still going to have that urge to want to, you know, elope and run off somewhere and start my travels. That person's going to be like, no, I don't want to go. Then what are we going to do? File for divorce? What was the point in getting married in the first place? It's the same
but then
thing.
again, did he know that she didn't want to have children?
They must
This is
have.
it.
No,
Yeah,
but
but
you know,
some people
I know it
don't.
sounds like a silly question.
Some
but
people change over a period of time.
Definitely. And it depends on lifestyle because, for example, they're both actors. Sometimes in Hollywood you're doing really, really well and sometimes you're just doing terribly. And, you know, if he's going on a path where he's like doing loads of movies and they're doing really, really well, then he'll probably think, you know what, kids are not it for me. I'm going to focus on my career while I've got it. And then if her career is dying down, she's probably thinking, you know what, I have got money.
to settle
It's time for me to settle down. And, you know, so I think, and also people change. So with your career, like sometimes you just think, you know what, I found the man of my dreams. And you might think, all along, like when you're single, I don't want kids. But then when you find this person, you might think, oh, actually, I do want children with him because I found Mr. Right. People do change.
Because like you
It's
said,
quite different. It's
Jen,
quite
nothing
difficult.
is concrete, nothing
No.
is set in stone.
Yeah.
And people over the years, and career and your journey can change along the way. Your work can have a great impact
Yeah,
Exactly.
on your
Yes.
life.
On your
Yes.
decisions.
Especially their work.
on
Definitely.
your decisions and what you do, especially on your love life.
But
So I
the
think
thing
that's
is-
what
And you
happens.
know
But
what
that's
could
why
have
you need
happened
to
as well.
you need to dig deeper to find out with the person. Because things do, it's
agree.
true.
I
Things
agree with
can
you.
change.
Yeah.
But then you need to at least ensure that you dig deep enough so that when these changes come, they're not that big of a bombshell. Because it's very, very rare that someone's just going to, let's say you and Mr. Right decide you want to have 4.7 children, not even 4.2. When I have 4.7 children, you know, picket fence, house on the prairie somewhere, whatever. And then later on, you wake up one morning and decide, you know, you don't want to have kids anymore. The likelihood of that happening, it doesn't happen all the time. Because these are the things you're supposed to hash out.
But who's to say, like, I'm going to put a spanner in the works. What if they both got married and said, you know what, we're not interested in children. We're going to focus on our career and be successful actors in Hollywood. And then one day he meets Angelina Jolie on the set of a movie and she decides that she wants to pick up children all over the world and awaken something inside of him.
That's right.
Wow. Swiftly
agree.
moving on.
It did happen.
Swiftly moving on to the next
It was
one.
skunk love because it stunk
yeah.
what he did to
Yeah.
her. Like, he
And-
humiliated her.
and-
And,
really
you know,
wanna
taking
fix
it, before actually I move on to the next point, taking it back to, you know, our life, because we're not celebs and we're not movie stars.
That's right.
I think it's really important that when you are engaging into a relationship, just dig a little bit deeper. It doesn't
Definitely.
hurt. Just to find out, you know, where are you going in life? What do you want to do? What's your aspirations?
Yeah.
What's your vision? Do you actually want to have 4.7 kids? And
I
so
think
on?
kids is a big one. Like, if you know, you should know. I think some people genuinely don't ask the question; they just assume.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that you just can't assume, right?
Yeah. But the next core value is J-Lo and Casper Smart.
Gosh.
Status, status, status. Do you think she got it right or she got it wrong?
J-Lo's always getting it wrong, isn't she? Bless her. I've never
Do you
seen
think so?
J-Lo. I thought
So
the
all
last
of you
one.
are, she got it wrong.
She's
Yeah.
definitely got it wrong.
Status, do you, I mean, there you've got J-Lo going out with her dancer, and we'll bring it back to reality now with us. Do you think status really plays a big role in relationships? For example, you know, you're a high-flying career woman, you know, you've got a really good professional profile, and then you're going out with someone that maybe doesn't have that great of a profile as yours, and probably earns, let's say you earn 6 figures, he's probably on 4. What do you do?
Go Maria like,
Maria looks absolutely mortified. She's like, no,
why? Because I was actually going to kind of like get in when we were speaking about Demi Moore and her ex-partner. It was exactly what I was going to say. You know, sometimes we just wonder, is it because they want to get in to that? I don't know. Do they want, are they getting into a relationship because they want to get into the limelight? Are they, you know, what is it? Because a lot of things about what they're doing just doesn't seem to be making sense at all. You know, he's a young boy, you know, as we were saying about Demi Moore, about all of them, very young. And what is their background? Why, for what reason are they actually doing this? Is it love?
Well, this is the thing that we need to highlight, and we're gonna
I
round
don't
up one or
know.
2 things just after the break with this game. But let us know, what do you think? Do you think status plays a very important role in relationships? Give us a call on 0207 686 6300. We'll be back. Hello, this is DKW, and we're talking skunk love today. Have you been in skunk love, or have you been chased by a skunk and you're trying to figure out whether or not it's gonna work or if you're compatible? Well, that's what we're discussing on today's show. And before we went to the break, Maria, you was talking about status and love. And I'm gonna throw you ladies in there as well. Do you think that people from 2 different financial or social statuses can work? Do you really think it can work?
I think it could work if you're prepared to change. One of you has to be prepared to...
Really?
Yeah. Because I feel that if you're, for example, if you marry into someone who's a different social class, it's going to be quite difficult for you to adjust, and then there's insecurity as well. So, for example, if you do marry into, say, a higher class, let's just say, than yourself, then if that person takes part in dinners and so on and you don't know, then you're going to make yourself feel uncomfortable if you don't learn.
Yeah.
So you need to learn. Like, for example, there's certain roles that I've had, certain jobs that I've had where I have worked with people of a different social class than I have, and I had to learn. I had to learn their language. I had to speak as they did, or else you just stick out like a sore thumb and you don't get anywhere in your career. So let alone in a relationship, there has to be, actually in all relationships, there has to be some sort of adaptation. So if you're not prepared to adapt, then forget it.
Yeah, but the greatest thing is that you can learn.
You can.
That is the thing. There's nothing you cannot learn. Doesn't matter what class you are.
Definitely.
What about culture? Our next one, Iman and David Bowie. They're from 2 completely different cultures. Do you think she got it right or she got it wrong? Right or wrong? Tell me.
2 completely different cultures. I think they've got it right.
Yeah, got it right. They've actually
Why? Why?
They've had a successful relationship. I mean, I'm sure, I remember in the early days when they started dating, you know, he was such a bizarre character, you know, flamboyant and crazy.
Leather trousers,
you know. And people thought, you know, she was more of a simple woman. So that you would have looked at this couple and thought, absolutely, it's not going to last. He just wants the flame of having a black woman, something like that. But they've actually done very well together.
But do you think people from 2 completely different cultures can work?
Yes, I do.
Gemma's like,
I think you've got to be really cautious with culture.
Why?
Because the thing is, again, if one of you is not prepared to adapt, then it's not going to work, again. But I do feel that if you're from 2 very strong cultures, that you're going to clash on many different things. Because remember, culture plays into everything that we do, even raising children, the way that you do things, the way your mannerisms. Sometimes it's someone has a really strong culture and they will not move away from that. And if you've got a really strong culture and you don't want to move away from it, you're just going to clash in the relationship. Again, there's things like respect, you know, because maybe you marry somebody or you get into a relationship with someone and they say, oh, actually, culture's not that important to me, but he's got a mum and a dad, that culture might be very important to them. And I know so many examples of people just going, no, we love each other, love is blind and so on. But you've really got to think about it, because when you get into a relationship, you've got to think about everybody else as well. Do you know what I mean? That you're getting involved with.
I think it takes a lot of hard work.
Definitely.
And I think on both sides, if you're from 2 different cultures, you've got to agree to disagree. I think you've got to work together. You may have to compromise for each other. You may have to sacrifice for each other. You have to 100% be selfless for each other for it to work.
It's all about give and take, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, in any relationship, it doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter about culture. It doesn't matter about whatever, age or anything. It's all about give and take. You know, you can't expect to be giving and not receiving, or the other way around. So it's all about give and take.
I've got another biggie here. Katie and Tom, remember their thing together, Katie Cruz and Tom Cruise, when they were married. Do you think she got it right or she got it wrong?
She definitely got it wrong because they weren't compatible in anything whatsoever.
In anything? Okay, could you elaborate more?
They never should have got together. I didn't believe in it. I think it was a farce. I think that when he jumped on the sofa and on this whole Oprah thing, I just thought, you know what, Tom, you've done it again. You're a brilliant actor and you're acting right now. And I knew it was not gonna
that
last.
is so mean. What if he genuinely thought? Because their thing was, obviously he
You were
was.
just waiting for it to happen, weren't you?
Honestly, his thing was, I think he's into a certain faith that he believes in, and she just found it really, really difficult. And this is another thing, faith. Do you think faith can work? Because some people would say, like you said, love is blind. But if you're coming from two completely different faith or, you know, morale backgrounds, if I could say, do you think it could work without the compromising?
Can I answer that?
Without
answer that?
Without the compromising.
Without compromising.
And what I mean, sorry, before you answer, what I mean is, for example, he, let's say, wants to be a practicing Buddhist and she wants to be a practicing, Christian or whatever.
Right. Okay.
And they both don't want to compromise, like, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. Do you think it could work?
For me personally, because I was kind of like almost into that kind of that thing. He was Hindu and here I was a Christian. Wow. So even though, you know, he said, okay, fine, we'll have, because I was engaged, about to be married for the second time. And what happened was he wanted to have this, okay, we'll get married in a church, wherever you want to get, wherever you are. But then also I want to have this Hindu wedding. Fine, you know, Hindu whatever. But it wasn't for me. It was not for me. So there was no way I was going to surrender to that. So for me, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because later on, as we always say, there's going to be children. There's going to be children. There's going to be so many things included. And for me, it didn't work. So I came out.
My point is, why put so much on yourself? I mean, lead up right up until marriage that you're going to get married. Surely you'd kind of know beforehand that you're not willing to sacrifice to before you even reach the point that you're going to even get married.
Yeah, but the thing, this is something that, again, this is something that was never talked about.
Oh, wow.
So you never spoke about it, that's why it happened.
No,
Yeah.
we never spoke about it.
I do.
That is the danger.
That is the danger.
But also sometimes
Yes.
it doesn't come up. Like it's only when tough times happen that it does come up. Because like for instance, I remember when my mum got married, she was a Catholic and my stepdad was a Muslim, and it never came up. And actually, because both of them weren't really too serious about either faith, it wasn't really an issue. But then,
what if they are? This is the thing. If they were,
so then it got to a point where she did start becoming serious about faith, but about the Christian faith, and then he could not handle it. He was like, you know what, we've always been this way, and so on. So it sort of made it a little bit. Everything had changed, because then you changed so I think at the end of the day, when you have children or when someone is really into their faith, I don't think it can work because actually faith underpins everything that you do. If you're serious about it, if you're serious about even your core values, it influences your core values. And if someone doesn't share that with you, then they're not going to share your core values. And it's not going to work. And you're not going to be happy. If you're serious about your faith, that is, whatever faith it is.
So then in that case, in fact, seeing as you ended on that point, I wanted to find out from you, if someone's going through skunk love now, what is it that they do?
Yeah.
What will they do? Maybe they're sat here, not sat here. They're sat there at home watching the show and they're like, all right, I've got skunk love. What do I do now? I've seen some of the incompatibilities that we have. I don't know what to do about it. What would you suggest?
to be honest, I'm a big fan of everybody making their own decision. So I think if you listen to this program and you feel like, you know, I am going through that, I think you've got to decide whether you're willing to sacrifice, because, you know, there are some points we can sit here all day and say, no, it's going to work, it's not going to work, it's going to work, it's not going to work. But the truth is, only you know what's going to work for you. And if you feel that, you know, I can compromise on age, I can try to make myself act a little bit younger, for instance, or I can change, then, you know, who am I to say that it can't work? If you're prepared to do what it takes to make it work, then it's fine, because I feel that relationships are the art of problem solving. You know, if you can't solve problems, then no matter what relationship, even if the person is like the same age as you, the same culture, the same faith, if you can't solve problems, it's still probably not going to work, because you just don't know how to deal with that person, because even when the person has all the boxes ticked, there's still going to be issues. And if you can't solve them, then it's just not going to work. So I think if someone is sitting at home, because, you know, the thing is, Jen, we can't say to people, like, for example, there are people who are married with children, they've been together for years, for instance, and they're thinking, I am with someone who I feel is incompatible. We can't sit here and say, actually, leave him tomorrow. You just can't. You've got to figure out, how can I make this work?
But they can actually reflect on their life. They can evaluate their life and see what, you know, it's about communication. We spoke about respect earlier on. And I think if you're in a relationship and you really do have that love and respect for each other, and you're willing to sacrifice for each other, communicate with each other and find out what are the negativity that's causing the flaws, the downfalls, you know, in your relationship, and then make some positive decisions to make things right. And I think that's what it's about. But I think a big part of it, you have to reflect, because some people, that's one of their problems is then they're just taking each day as it goes. You know, and they're not actually dealing with the roots of the problems. And that is a big problem. We spoke about this before in our program. If you don't dwell and deal with the roots of the situation in the skunk love that you're experiencing, you're gonna have a miserable and sad life. And nobody wants to have a miserable life. Everybody out there is seeking happiness. Everyone is seeking love. You know, everybody wants to be, you know, really successful in their love life. So if you're willing to really look into this skunk love and see if it's for you, if it's working, yes, they may have children, so that it may not be so easy just to cut off. But there's no such thing as learning how to love each other, learning how to compromise for each other, learning how to be selfless, to help a relationship to succeed.
I do like the point about reflection, because even if, for example, if you're not in a relationship at the moment, I think you've got to reflect.
You have to.
Because I also think, Gemma, sorry to cut you, but I also think that the problem nowadays is that people, when they are getting into a relationship, at the beginning of the relationship, there's very, very little communication. Now, Sam was saying that is very important. You know, okay, we're not going to sit down on your first date and say, right, okay, do you want children? Kids? Okay, you know, what about religion?
What's your vision? What's this?
But you've got to getting to know the person.
You've got to dig deep.
You have to get to know
That's
the
a good point, because some people get so even physical, like they just do everything, like,
they
you
just
know,
want to get physical.
Getting to know the
and then you
person.
don't actually know the person, and before
Exactly.
you know it, you've got all this emotions for somebody that you don't really know, and that's when it makes it really hard to get out of it, because you feel like, oh, but I love him and so on, and then you and that is what happens, isn't it?
Exactly.
You fall for the person, and it's like, oh, I love him, but you don't
But you
actually
don't
know
emotional
him.
love.
You love what you know about the person so far.
You love what you think you know, because sometimes you see the signs, like Sam said, sometimes you see the signs, but because you're so involved and your heart's all there, you're like, it's okay, I don't want to see it.
Especially if it's your first boyfriend.
Oh, for sure.
You know, emotional love, the
Especially,
fact is, emotional love is not enough. It takes a lot more than just face value. You know, it takes a lot more than, oh, I'm in love with this person, because it's much more than that. Love is not just this. And this is what people have to be careful not to deceive themselves with. This emotions can deceive you.
For sure.
You know, the heart can
For
be a
sure.
very deceiving place. So you have to be very careful.
You know what, Jen, I realised from a lot of the things that we said as well is that a lot of the points that you said, like, you know, you said age and so on, it's based on like a thrill, which is an emotion.
That's right.
Because I think humans, that we always want what we can't have.
Yeah.
And if I know that, you know, I'm, say, I don't know, 45 and I've got this 20-year-old who is interested in me, then it's like what you said at the top of the program. You know, you were going to go after that guy is almost like an ego boost.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you know that is not the norm. But why do some women go for that? Because they think, you know what? A 20-year-old is after me. I've still got it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's
So
like,
that's right.
yeah, it's like the
That's
thrill of it.
right.
It is an
It's just the
emotion.
thrill,
It's like women, for example, like, you know, who hasn't gone for a bad boy? You know, you probably know it's not good for you. He's probably going to break your heart. Maybe he's even got other women and so on, because I know that you talk about this a lot.
Yes,
Sam.
yes.
But the fact is, it's like this bad boy. It's like, oh, he's so cool. And it's the thrill of it. You know, sometimes we're seeking for a thrill and we don't realise that that thrill is going to hurt us in
you,
the
yeah,
end.
it's going to hurt you eventually. And you know what, before we do go into the conclusion, I want to highlight a very special event that, well, I'm going to be going to, and all of you ladies too.
We'll be there.
Which is the Love School. It's kind of connected to the topic that we're talking about
Yeah, I'm quite
today.
honoured to be invited, actually.
It's going to be absolutely brilliant. It's going to be at Wembley Arena on the 22nd of September, and it's all about all things love. So if you've been watching this show and you've been thinking, oh, I want some more information and I want to learn a thing or two about love, would like to see you there, because we're going to have a segment there as well.
We are.
So if you want to meet us in person, we'll be there.
Definitely.
It'll be fun.
But also, I just wanted to mention as well, if you want more information about the Love School, you can go to theloveschoolevent.com, and then you can find out a bit more on how you can get your tickets and how you can actually go there. But ladies, just to conclude, you know, with everything that we've been saying on the show, I just think that, like we said before, we can't tell you to break up with this person or to go out with this kind of person. You need to evaluate the situation and see, do you think that these incompatibilities will stop you from being happy? Do you realistically see it working? And then look internally within yourself and ask yourself, can I actually make this relationship work without hurting me or the other person? Because sometimes it's not just about what you want, it's also about the other person. If you know it's not going to work, then be sincere with yourself and stop right there, because you don't want to get into a relationship that will hurt someone along the line and also hurt yourself. I don't know, ladies, if you want to
Yeah,
I totally agree.
And can I just say something? It's like, what I realised is that a lot of the time you don't learn how to love. So you find yourself getting in, like I was speaking to someone yesterday, you find yourself getting into these relationships over and over again, maybe even attracting the wrong type of guy, and you just don't know how to attract the right person. And I guess this is why things like the Love School event is so important, because, you know, you are taught love. Because you're not taught how to love, you're not taught how to get into a good relationship. You know, if you don't have parents, for instance, who have a very good relationship and as a point of reference, which so many of us don't, you know, if you don't have that, then what do you look to? And this is why the Love School event is so important, because they will teach you, like, no matter what stage you're at, even if you are experiencing skunk love at the moment, you know, you can get out of that. Actually, the presenters, they had a bit of skunk love. They said for 12 years they could not get along. And now they've been married for 22 years. So it shows that it's possible.
Exactly, and even more so, they will show you some of the signs that they, you know, were able to pick out, and it helped them to realise, oh, that's a stinky situation right there. And maybe you're going through some of those signs as well. I hope that you've paid attention to this show, because if you are seeing some of those signs, be honest with yourself, because you don't want to be in a situation that won't just be stinky but will completely break your heart in the long run. So this is a DKW, ladies. We've come to the end of the show now. We're going to
Been wonderful.
But
It's all about, you know, really avoiding disasters.
That's it.
That's what it's about.
It's all about avoiding that. But ladies, have a great Sunday afternoon. We hope you've enjoyed yourself. You'll see us next week on DKW. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This one's for the girls. This one's for all the girls.